Good evening and welcome to this Thursday edition of Primetime News. I'm Salima Shimwefeleni Masipa. In our lead story tonight, Kenyan President William Ruto announced earlier today the dismissal of almost his entire cabinet and consultations to form a broad-based government following widespread anti-government protests. The action follows largely peaceful protests led by young Gen Z Kenyans that have widened into a broader campaign against Ruto and his government, with some demonstrations generating into deadly violence.
I have today, in line with the powers given to me by Article 1521 and 1525B of the Constitution and Sections 12 of the Office of the Attorney General's Act, decided to dismiss with immediate effect all the Cabinet Secretaries and Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, of the Cabinet of Kenya, except the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs, and of course, the Office of the Deputy President is not affected in any way.
The city of Windhoek held a memorial service today to honor the late firefighter Metusela Simata Kama, who tragically died in a car accident while on duty last week. Primetime News producer Sylvia Hashondali was at the service and brings us the story.
The City of Windhoek Fire Brigade headquarters was filled with a somber group of mourners who went to share their condolences in honor of the late Kama.
Now, on Sunday, 7 July 2024, the entire division received a distress call. And that is one of the distress calls that every emergency responder fear, that one of your own is involved in an accident.
We can all attest to having been blessed by his experience of him at one point in our lives. Simata lived a life where he devoted himself to making life brighter for those who loved and cared for.
We are here to mourn a dedicated, determined and committed firefighter, a focused and disciplined firefighter. We are here on principles of the ethics of care, love as colleagues, and that we became one family, and that I can testify.
Kama, who was described by many as a team player, survived by his wife, children, parents and siblings. Sylvia Hashondali, reporting for Primetime News.
Minister of Urban and Rural Development Erastus Uthoni emphasized during the launch of the revised National Housing Policy and its Implementation Action Plan that the challenges of rapid urbanization and rural-urban migration can only be addressed meaningfully and sustainably through collaborative efforts and investments by both the public and private sectors. Primetime News producer Konjeni Ambinga was at the launch and filed this story.
Our approach to housing and human settlement development, as articulated in housing policy, is premised on the following principles. 1. Firstly, partnership and collaboration between public, private, and community actors. Secondly, principles are quality and affordability, which recognizes that houses must be built according to quality standards as well as at prices that home seekers can afford. Thirdly, or the third principle, are inclusivity and empowerment, whereby members all the community in both urban and rural areas are enabled to actively participate in the process of meeting their housing needs. The fourth principle is a pro-poor orientation, whereby a special focus is given to the poor and ultra-low income earners who, if left to the market forces, will not be in a position to help themselves and thus need more assistance in meeting their housing needs.
During a media engagement on Wednesday in the capital, NAMPOL's Inspector General Joseph Shikongo refuted public claims of police brutality. He stated that the police force is merely carrying out its mandate to ensure the safety of the people they have sworn to protect. Take a listen.
We wanted to ensure that Namibia remain a safe and a become more safer place to be by anybody. Whether you are a Namibian or whether you are from somewhere. The current states of our situation where people are not free to move. People are waking up 3 o'clock going to work, they are being attacked. People are coming to work 7 o'clock in the evening, 8 o'clock, 9, 10, people are being attacked. People every day, we are losing lives. And we are losing life every day. Just over this weekend, probably we lost if not 7 Namibians that were murdered in different towns of our country, murdered by others. And then it becomes an issue. If you put the figure together, you put the statistics of people who were murdered by other fellow Namibians. It's in hundreds and hundreds. But when today the law enforcement executed their duty in terms of the act, then people making noise, police brutality. I don't know why it became police brutality when a criminal died at the end of the law enforcement. It became a brutality. There are those criminals that are defending other criminals. Criminals are defending other criminals. They immediately something happen, they come over there. The law enforcement are killing innocent people. How can you be innocent person if you go to a tosha, which is a protected resources, and start robbing? Start poaching the national resources. How can you be an innocent person if you are planning a robbery or you are committing a robbery against other people?
Stay tuned for your top roundup with the business segment thereafter. Welcome to the Primetime Biz segment, your premier source for all things business related. We commence in the capital, where Minister of Urban and Rural Development, Erastus Uthoni, issued a clarion call to the Strategic Committee of the National Housing Policy, urging them to implement the outlined policies without subjecting the process to rigorous bureaucratic procedures. Konjeni Ambinga brings us this report.
In this regard, the policy has detailed implementation action plan setting out the various strategies for each policy objective, as well as an implementation framework and the responsible implementers and role players. I wish to use this opportunity to urge all of us, officers, ministries, and agencies at all levels of government, that is central, regional, and local levels, the private sector from financial institutions to act as in the construction or to act, yes, in the construction and built environment. The citizens, civil society, the academia, and developmental partners to familiarize ourselves with the content of the policy and its implementation action plan in general, and to come on board and make your contributions. Yeah, but those who are implementing these things of too many papers around, with those nice, good English words, no, it's just becoming too much. Let's speak with our broken English as long as we produce. The most important thing is production. The outcome.
Earlier today in the capital, the Ministry of Labour, Industrial Relations and Employment Creation held a stakeholders consultative meeting on the business process re-engineering of the Office of the Labour Commissioner. Sheila Perestrello was at the meeting and brings us this report.
This is done with the assistance of the Office of the Prime Minister. As you have seen them introducing themselves, they are here in full force because they have been with us from the beginning. The exercise is to identify bottlenecks to service delivery and to work out modalities aimed at removing processes and unnecessary postponements that are not adding values to the process so as to improve public service delivery. In terms of conceptual framework, there are many schools of thought that defines the terminology business process re-engineering. One of the definitions says that BPR is a business management strategy focusing on the analysis and designing of the workflow, conducting some workload assessment and business processes within an institution. BPR is also defined as an essential redesign of business processes to achieve dynamic improvement in the productivity, in the cycle lifetime, in the quality of work or service rendered, and also in employee relations, as well as to deal with customer satisfaction issues.
It's now a look at what the weather has in store for us tomorrow in the Weather Report, followed by a roundup of the latest economic news. Welcome to Sport Planet, your hub for all things sporting action. Liverpool forward Darwin Núñez could face a lengthy ban after he clashed with supporters in the stands following Uruguay's Copa America semi-final defeat to Colombia on Wednesday. Núñez was among the Uruguay players who went up into the stands at the end of the match in Charlotte in the United States and appeared to become involved in altercations with supporters wearing the yellow shirts of Colombia. South American football's governing body, CONMEBOL, responded by stating, CONMEBOL strongly condemns any act of violence that affects football. Our work is based on the conviction that football connects us and unites us through its positive values. Liverpool have not yet commented on the matter. The club are working to establish the facts, and it is understood the club's football leadership intends to get in touch with Núñez once time difference to the US allows. On to the high-octane world of Formula One. 6 venues have been confirmed for next season's Formula One sprint races. The 2025 season marks the 5th year of the sprint race, and China, Miami, Belgium, Austin, Brazil, and Qatar will all host the 100-kilometer dash. The announcement sees Belgium's Spa-Francorchamps circuit return for the first time since 2023 in place of Austria, who hosted one this year, while Sao Paulo returns for its 5th straight season, having hosted the sprint every year since 2021. Speaking about these sprint races, President and CEO of Formula One, Stefano Domenicali, said, "The sprint has been a great success for Formula One, bringing all our fans more action and racing on the track. We are seeing the proof of this in our audience data, fan attendance on Fridays, and from the promoters and partners." Stay tuned for your sports roundup. This concludes your Thursday edition of Primetime News. Many thanks for tuning in. Do make time to join us tomorrow for another engaging edition. On behalf of myself, Salima Shumwefeleni Masipa, and the dedicated crew behind the scenes, it's good night.